welcome to another episode of the Obsessed with Pickleball podcast. Thank you so much for listening if you are, and follow me on Instagram, Obsessed with Pickleball. Now there's an Instagram account just for this podcast, Obsessed with Pickleball Pod, and on TikTok, Obsessed with PB Pod. It's a lot. Follow me. One's fine. All of them is great. Like and subscribe to this podcast as well so that I can feel good about myself because people are listening. We have a lot to talk about today, or I have a lot to talk about today. We are going to talk about takeaways from the PPA Red Rock Open. The thing that's interesting about pro pickleball, if you've been watching for a while, is just the way the dynamics between the players shift over the years and how you can track people's careers. The partner changes, the newness of the sport. You have people who are veterans like Pickleball and playing against Christian Alshon, for example, brand new, old school. And if you've been watching for a while, I feel like I've known Pickleball for years and years and years, obviously not personally, but I'm just saying. He's been around for a while. I've watched a lot of his career. Something I always love about players like Deckel and Paris is going back to the APP PPA rivalry. But we can get into that when we talk about the PPA Red Rock Open. I have a funny Deckel story. And then we'll look forward into this coming week, North Carolina. They're going to do the semi-progression draw again, where we'll do all the semifinals on Saturday and all the finals on Sunday. And I actually liked that. I want to watch pickleball on Wednesdays. And sometimes it does get late towards the end of the day to watch the better matches. So it is kind of cool, not the better matches necessarily, but the semifinals on Saturday, you can watch them all day long. Before we get into all of that, if I look a little tired to you, it's because I am. I have been going through some real stress. I have a cat who loves to eat hair ties, loves to eat hair ties. Not chew them, not play with them, swallow them whole. So she swallowed a hair tie about, 5 weeks ago. I saw her do it, took her to the emergency room. They did an ultrasound, saw that she had a bunch of stuff in her stomach, not just one hair tie, but a lot of stuff. DM me if you want to see a photo. And they did a surgery on her stomach. Pretty much, we have to operate now. So they did. For 2 weeks, she had to live in a crate, and we had to constantly feed her meds. I had to take time off work to be home with her, to feed her, basically sedate her all the time so that she wouldn't attack her own stitches. And it was really, really tough 2 weeks. Okay, so she's feeling better. Out of nowhere, she throws up another hair tie. I thought that we had done a clean sweep of the house, that there was nothing in sight for her to eat. But apparently I was wrong. She found a hair tie. Who knows where? Maybe she stashed it away like a squirrel stashes nuts for the winter. Anyway, so take her back to the vet again. And they're like, okay, we're going to do an ultrasound. Oh, there's nothing in there, but for abundance of caution, let's keep her another night. Have her fast so that we can really look in her stomach and make sure nothing's there. So they do all that, and they call the next day, and they're like, okay, well, the x-ray came back great. There's nothing in her stomach. You don't have to worry about that. But I'm sure someone has talked to you about her platelet count. And I'm like, excuse me? No, I've never heard of this. Yeah, she has 6 platelets when she's supposed to have 180. That doesn't sound very good. They're like, no, it's really bad, basically. She's like, oh, there's some other tests that we want to run. I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, well, we have insurance. Should be covered by insurance. They're like, okay, we'll check. I get an email from the insurance. Oh, this isn't covered because this problem was brought up on February 25th before your insurance was activated for pre-existing health conditions. I'm like, excuse me, February 25th? It's February 31st. I've never heard of this. I'm sorry, March 31st. I've never heard of this. So I called them again. I'm like, WTH. And they're like, oh, yeah, when she had her first surgery, we did her blood work and there were low platelets. But I guess they never followed through on additional testing. I'm like, okay. And they're like, okay, so yeah, we're going to send you a quote for all the testing that she needs to do. It's like, literally $4,000. I'm like, can you explain to me what the heck is going on? Like, we don't know, there's no way of really knowing like why she has this platelet count. Like, she's not bleeding. You would usually only see this in someone who's bleeding, and she's not bleeding, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, I'm going to come pick her up. And we're definitely not going to give you $4,000, because the idea of paying $4,000 is one thing. It's how much is the treatment going to cost if we go at this place? And again, this was the emergency room, so they're extra expensive. So I make an appointment with the regular vet. I'm freaking out, you guys. I learned very quickly that I won't be having children. I'm not sleeping. I'm crying a lot. I'm a mess. But the worst thing that could have happened happens. The worst thing. I got the yips. The serving yips. I don't know if anyone else has experienced this in pickleball, but it's brutal because you don't know how long it's going to last. You don't know where it comes from or what brings it on, even though I think I know. For me, it's stress. Right now, the stress brought this on. And I could feel it coming before it even did. I was playing like at open play with some of the ladies that come to open play. And I was like, ooh, I feel like I might start missing some serves. This wasn't that bad, right? It's like in the net, a little bit to the side, a little long. I'm like, ooh, that's weird. Then I have like a really fun game plan Saturday morning, right after we drop the cat off for her ultrasound. Okay. This is with really good people that I want them to think I'm good. Okay. Let me put it that way. I wanted to play well. I did not want to be the weak link. When I say I have the yips, I'm not missing a foot wide. I'm not missing a foot long. I'm not hitting the net. I am hitting it on the other court. My body is doing a weird convulsing thing where I can't even serve. Like, my wrist keeps breaking and like getting limp, and it's like nothing you've ever seen before. And everyone's trying to assure me, like, oh, I've been there. I'm like, this bad? Like, yeah, definitely this bad. I'm like, no. Like, I don't know how they even believed that it was real. So I was like, okay, I'm stressed about that. The next day I have another game. And the stress has only gotten worse because now I'm not worried about the hair ties in her stomach. I'm worried about the platelets. So I go and play again, and the yips don't go away. They're still there. And I'm being told, oh, it's fine. So now I have a drop serve. Yep, I have a drop serve, and I still don't even make it every time. And it's frustrating because I actually feel like I'm playing really well right now. I actually feel like I can get back to where I was and better if I practice. But you know what? You can't win. You cannot win if you miss 90% of your serves. It is very difficult to win a match missing 90% of your serves. That's something I know. That's just math, science, gravity. It just is what it is. Okay, so fast forward to today. I'm still a mess. I'm still stressed out. I take the cat to the regular vet. They do the tests, and they're like, yep, she's fine. We sent her to a pathologist. Sometimes if you do it manually, like, this happens, but the pathologist says she's fine. What? I don't know if this vet was trying to swindle me out of money. I hate a farce. If you know me at all, you know, like, I hate a farce. And the reason I hate a farce is because I'm easily farced. I'm easily scammed. I'm easily tricked. I'm gullible. I once almost wired the IRS, quotation marks, $2,000 because they said there was a warrant out for my arrest for unpaid taxes. Like, literally, oldest scam in the book, and I almost fell for it. So here I am, obviously relieved that the cat's fine. Obviously glad I didn't give a bunch of farces $4,000. Trying to see who I can sue for emotional distress. But who can I sue for giving me the yips? If you've ever had the yips out there, you get what I'm saying. You would want to sue someone as well. I've now signed up to play this, like, I don't know, Kappa group round robin thing. I don't know, schmo, blow, whatever. I don't know. And if I have the yips for this, if I don't fix my yips in the next week, I have to pull out. I mean, like, it would be so embarrassing for not just me, for everyone who's agreed to be on my team. Anyway, so that's what's going on in my life. Another week, another drama, another trial, another tribulation. All coming back to pickleball because she's crazy now. This cat is playing with a ball and being all happy-go-lucky, even though yesterday she was lethargic. Anyway, let's get back to the pickleball of it all. I can't decide who is more frustrated, me with the vet that scared me to death, or Anisha with Federico Stackstrud. Iconic PPA referee Anisha Peretti had the joy and the privilege of reffing the singles match between Federico Stackstrud and Jack Sock. I can't tell if they're buds, but it really seems like there's no love lost between the two of them. They had a spicy match. Very spicy. Both of them are known to get a little spicy. I feel like Jack, he's a chirper, right? But he's always kind of joking about it. And Fed is a chirper, but I think he's never joking. And I do think there's probably like a little bit of like a power dynamic between these men's singles players of like, Jack has accomplished so much in his career. He has done things that these other players won't do. They're not going to go to the Olympics. I mean, maybe one day, but they haven't gone to the Olympics. They're not going to win a Grand Slam, all that stuff. In tennis, which is something that Fed probably trained his whole life to try to do. So when they're chirping at each other, there's kind of like this underlying thing where Fed's like, I'm the best singles player in the world. Who are you, Jack Sock? And Jack Sock's like, well, I'm an Olympian who's about to beat you. And that's what happened. At one point in the match, Anisha says to Fed, I don't know if Fed's saying, sometimes like mics aren't picking it up. And Anisha just goes, are we going to play pickleball now? And Fed's like, literally, he's just like, yeah, sure. And then goes back to the line. Classic. Oh, the stories that Anisha could tell us. I would sign me up for that tell-all. Netflix 3-part series. I actually had a whole pitch deck for like a fucking iconic Netflix documentary about the PPA right before after Tom Dundon bought the PPA. I knew that shit was about to go down. And my thesis for this series was, what happens to a game when money gets involved? How is pickleball going to change once real money comes into play? And I knew it was going to get crazy. I knew it. And nobody listened to me. And if they had, I would be on the ground telling the truth, the tour wars, partner breakups, relationships between partners, affairs, scandals, all the drama. But alas, my boss, she didn't listen to me. She did not believe that that pickleball was going to be what it is today, even though I told her. I got laughed at. Her and her partners were like, oh, pickleball, yeah, I heard it's like the new big thing. I'm like, you don't understand. It's going to be massive. But at least I can go to sleep at night knowing that I was right. Let's get into the Red Rock Open. All right, Dekel Bar. Making his name, his presence clear in mixed doubles. First, he beats Ben and Annalie with Anna Bright. Then he takes gold with Paris Todd. So there's so much to talk about with this tournament with people. Every tournament is like a new clue to this race to who's the best. And this weekend, we saw Dekel proving himself in mixed doubles. Dekel's been around forever. This is my funny Dekel story. So if you were around before the MLP Tour Wars, okay, when it was APP versus PPA, and PPA started getting people to be PPA players and APP players, and you had to do one or the other. On the APP Tour, Dekel Bar, Zane Navratil, J.W. Johnson, Dylan Frazier, Thomas Wilson, Vivian David, Paris Todd eventually, Georgia Johnson, Anna Bright started over there. Simone was PPA, moved over to APP after she stopped playing with Ben. There was always this idea that the PPA players were a lot better than the APP players. So I'm at the US Open when I actually got to watch like a truly iconic match. It was the last time that Simone and Lucy played together. They lost in like the semifinals, I think, to Catherine and Jessie, I want to say. And afterwards, like Simone and Lucy gave each other the biggest hug ever. And it was like a truly beautiful pickleball moment, like the history of pickleball. And I got to see it. It was pretty cool. It was also the last time that Ben and Ben Johns and Simone would play, and they won the whole thing. He had already switched over to play with Anna Leigh, but they were signed up for the US Open together. Because the US Open was separate from the PPA. It was this amazing, huge tournament in Naples. Kyle Yates. Okay, it still exists. I don't know why I'm saying like it's over, but Kyle Yates and Simone were huge to it starting out. It used to be the biggest tournament. It was a huge deal to go. And then, of course, the PPA was like, no, you can't play in the US Open. So, except somehow Anna Leigh and Lee got to play. It doesn't matter. So I'm at the US Open, and someone is talking to Riley Newman. And Riley says, they're talking about the PPA and APP. And Riley basically says, oh, yeah, like the APP is cool, but the PPA generally has the better players, and the APP is kind of like the second tier. And Deckel is like right there. And he shoots a death glare to Riley like crazy. Again, just happened to be there to see this. And it was funny. I mean, at the time, everyone thought that. And it was a little bit true in the sense that, Ben Johns and Anna Leigh Waters were in the PPA, the best two players. So trickles down. But it is funny that as this whole thing was happening, where the PPA was the best and the APP was the second best, I was like a hardcore cheer for the APP because I just didn't like that whole vibe. And I was a big J-Dub Dylan fan, as I still am. But then once those players had to cross over, honestly, the most shocking person when they crossed from APP to PPA was Zane Navratil, because Zane had like an APP clinic. Like, he was the king of the APP. He was a big deal. He had a clinic at every single tournament. And him switching to PPA was like the moment I was like, okay, it's happening. Then you have all the players switch over, all the worst players. Then you have JW Johnson and Dylan Frazier, the number 3 men's doubles team, eventually surpassing Riley and Matt Wright. You have Vivian David and Thomas Wilson as one of the best mixed teams. At one point, definitely like the number 2 team. Anna Bright becomes Anna Bright. Paris Todd beats Anna Leigh in singles. Like, yada, yada. Anyway, that's another little lore of me just getting distracted with some history. It was a pretty cool time, though, to be at the US Open. I was sitting next to Deckel Barr's parents at one point, kind of trying to see if they had any extra tickets for the next day, because their tickets were so much. They ignored me. We found a way to like lick our stickers, like our stamps, onto each other's hands so we could sneak people in. Anyway, good times. Okay, back to it. Back to the Red Rock Open. So it's cool to see Deckel still at the top of his game and still getting better. He is getting better. He added the serve a few years ago, which was like a huge weapon. He's had the Ernie for a while. And now like his lateral movement, his court coverage, like the way that he protects his partner is crazy. His defense is crazy. His put-up ways are crazy. He's just playing very smart pickleball. He's making errors. Obviously, anyone makes errors, but not dumb ones, like good ones. He's not speeding up. He's not like, he's rising at the right time to rise. So amazing. His partner, Paris Todd, huge weekend for Paris. Paris, silver in singles, bronze in women's doubles, gold in mixed doubles. The question was, how will Paris do with Deckel compared to how Rachel does with Deckel or how Anna Bright did with Deckel when they had their great run? And Paris Todd is a beast. And I think she has so much farther to go. Paris has been around pickleball for a while, and we've been talking about her for a while, but we always have to remember that last year was her first year on the PPA tour. She was on the APP tour. She was playing with Simone, winning gold every single week, and everyone knew, and I always said it, like, she's never going to improve if she stays over there. She has to switch to PPA now, and she did, and she's getting great partners, and she's killing it. Her and Rachel didn't have the results that they wanted, and I think Paris is an amazing all-around player, but thrives on the right side, and she is really good with a strong left-sided player, which is why she does so well with Tyra. And Rachel is a left-sided player in certain circumstances, but definitely playing with Anna has taken on the more beta role. When you play with Anna Bright or Anna Lee Waters, you're kind of playing mixed doubles because they're going to keep that ball away from Anna Bright as much as possible because she will just speed the ball up the second she gets it and do some crazy offense. So Rachel's learned to be a little bit more of the backseat driver. So the two of them together were really strong, but they weren't able to make it to the finals. I thought Etta and Elise Jones did a great job against Catherine and Anna Lee. I think Etta Wright is top 5 women for sure. And Elise Jones is a great women's doubles partner. Her defense, her excitement, her energy, fantastic. I think that one of my takeaways from this tournament when it comes to Rachel is that it is going to be important for her to play with other partners besides just Anna Bright. She's so new to the game that she needs to experience other partners to get better. That's what these other players have been able to do. They've been able to learn new skills, new shots, because they're not always playing with the same person, with the same patterns, and doing the same things. So that's why one of the great things about MLP is like she's going to go to DC. She's going to be playing with Jackie. That's going to be a killer team. One player that we did talk about a lot this weekend that we haven't in a while is James Ignatowicz. I thought this was kind of funny because I was just bringing him up in my last podcast and calling out the fact that we haven't spoken about him a lot and how he's due for a good weekend and how he's playing with Tyra, so he needs to capitalize on it. He did. He had great singles wins, beat Jaume Martinez-Vic, I think pickled him, something crazy, and he and Tyra did very well as well. So there's 2 reasons why James had a good weekend. 1, he listened to my podcast and was like, wow, Jane's right. I do need to have a good weekend. So then he did. Or 2, Christian Alshon, his nemesis rival. If you don't know the story behind that, that's for another day. Basically, when James started out, James was getting a lot of success and Christian was up and coming. And they were kind of going back and forth with each other with little digs. I can't remember if Christian said he could beat James with a wooden spoon or if James said he could beat Christian with a wooden spoon. But anyway, no love lost between the two of them. I think that James kind of played it off as a joke, but I don't think they really liked each other at the time. They probably are fine now because they did play doubles together, which is another funny thing about pickleball. You can have a nemesis, but you will play with them next year if it's going to help you win. So try to make everyone like you. So either James listened to my podcast or he saw that Christian was succeeding and he was like, that is the fire under my belly that I need. I'm going to have a great singles weekend. Christian wins 2 golds and James enters the singles draw. Coincidence? I think not. Christian and Tyra's time together ends. James swoops in and grabs Tyra. Coincidence? I think not. There is a third option. James has been practicing a lot, has gotten healthy, and just played really well. Those are the 3 options. You can decide whichever one you want. That's fine. In the finals, Annalie and Catherine beat Etta and Elise. I think Elise and Etta played very well. Catherine and Annalise still won. Singles, Annalie wins. Men's, Hunter Johnson beats Jack Sock. Hunter is making a play for Fed's crown. And good. We need a really good singles rivalry. I like it. I think they're very different people. I think they play similarly, though. I think they're always fun when they go up against each other. So I like that. Then, you have Christian also banging on that door. We'll see his longevity in the singles race with those 2 guys. In mixed doubles, Paris Todd and Deca Barr take it from Christian Alshon and Catherine Prento in a insane 5-game match. That was super fun to watch. I think Paris played really, really well. Like, she's playing better every single tournament. Deckel's playing really well. Christian and Catherine are also playing well. They could have taken it. They have not, grabbed their opportunity yet, though, and I wonder if there's, a little bit of lack of chemistry between them. If they're lacking, a little spark. But we'll see how they do coming in the next. They're going to keep playing together, so we'll see if they can finally get that gold. In men's doubles, Christian Alshon, Andre Diescu take the gold over Hayden Patrick Quinn and Federico Staksrud. Another super tight final. Are Andre and Christian the best men's doubles team? I have always said Andre is the best men's doubles player. He's still proving it. Hayden and Fed were the hot team in town last year, but I think Christian and Andre are better. I do want these teams to stay together for the rest of the year. I want these rivalries to grow, and I want to really figure out who the new best team is. Is it Andre and Christian? Is it Hayden and Fed? Is it Gabe and Ben? Who's it going to be? One thing I've been thinking about a lot, especially during Red Rock, as we're seeing these dynamics change, is the finals at the end of the year. The finals that we're all, talking about points. Will they be eligible? Will they get there? And it's fun. It's cool to look at, but I don't think any of the fans really hold a lot of stake into it or really care. But if you added stakes to these finals, if that was where the money was, if these tournaments were all important for their points and that's what mattered, and it was really important to get to those finals, not just win the finals because, okay, we're competing to get to the finals and then inevitably these 3 people have a chance of winning. But if there was real money, an extra big bonus to get to those finals at the end of the year, and then even more to win them, then when Dave Fleming is like, let's look at the standings, let's see who's in the race, let's see if they make it to the finals, I'd actually care. If you were if I'm looking at the thing and it's Jackie and Jade Kawamoto are number 7 and 8, or 8 and 9, who will one of them make it, or will they both make it? And it's if they make it, they get $30,000 just for making it. I'm like, shit, this is a big deal. You're really going to want to win these smaller tournaments if you're on the cusp to get that appearance fee. Then you make it to the finals, and every place you get in the finals, bronze gets a ton of money, silver gets even more money, gold gets even more money. Now I care about these finals. I care about them. And I think personally that would hold more weight for me than just bigger prize money in every single tournament. Because then you get a little bit numb to it. Oh, they're winning every week. Oh, Annalie wins money. Annalie wins more money. Annalie wins more money. Instead, it's okay, you might not win a lot of money at these tournaments for getting 8th place. But if you end the year in 8th place, you get a big payout. Just an idea, PPA, just throwing it out there so that we can keep paying people, but we can add some stakes. All right, let's talk about North Carolina. North Carolina is always a fun tournament too. Never forget the tournament in North Carolina when Matt Wright and Lucy Kovalova were playing Jessie Irvin and Julian Arnold, and Matt hit the ball off the net straight into Jessie's face and didn't apologize, and Julian was like, you're not even going to apologize to her, and they were just fighting back and forth, and it was crazy. If that was in North Carolina, forgive me, but I'm pretty sure it was. And that gets me straight into the first thing I want to talk about in North Carolina. Matt Wright and Julian Arnold are playing together. Historically, Matt Wright and Julian Arnold have not liked each other. Not as much as Colin Johns and Julian Arnold don't like each other, as Colin literally called him the clown. Either Colin or Ben said that. And there was this off-center court matchup between Colin and Julian where Colin and Ben beat Julian whoever. And at the end of the match, Colin was like, shh. Epic. No, but Matt and Julian have chirped a lot in their matches. At one tournament I attended, this was not on center, it wasn't on grandstand, it was a small court I was watching. And it was Julian and it wasn't Julian and Thomas. It was Julian and I can't remember. Against Matt Wright and Riley Newman. And Matt was chirping at Julian you don't even know. Then at one point, Matt was like, you are the most overrated player in the PPA, who's never actually done anything. And I'm not giving it justice because I don't chirp as well as Matt Wright, but I was sitting there being like, oh, that felt kind of personal. That was kind of weird. I didn't like that. And I think that's something about Matt Wright's chirping that I don't like over other players, is that I always think he takes it a little bit too far and gets a little weird about it. Tyler Loong brought something similar like this up on his podcast, King of the Court, and I agree. It's weird chirping. It's not fun or sassy. It's weirdly personal and odd. Very odd. So when I saw that they were playing together, I was like, oh, how the tables have it's funny because it seems like they both needed a partner and had to turn towards each other. Matt is kind of going from partner to partner, trying to, in my opinion, stay relevant. Julian's kind of like fallen off from greatness. I think that happened the second he decided not to sign with MLP and not to play MLP. I will never understand why he went from being the MVP of a whole MLP season to not playing MLP. MLP was designed for players like him. We haven't heard a lot from him. I think that was a big mistake to take the payout and not play MLP because sure, you're making a lot of money. Are you just counting that your ceiling has been met? Because you've become irrelevant. And I think that's a shame and unnecessary. Okay. Other partnerships this weekend. Christian Alshon is playing with Catherine Parento again and Andre Descu again. To be honest, Catherine and Ben being out for singles doesn't really hold a lot of weight for me anymore. They keep talking about it like it's a big deal. Catherine hasn't made a semi in a while. Ben is hit or miss. Annalie being out for singles just means that hometown favorites now, Kate Fahey and Brooke Buckner, could see each other in a final, two North Carolina locals. That would be really fun. Jack Sock's also local to North Carolina. Deckel's playing with Anna. Deckelbar's playing with Rachel Rohrbacher. They have not had great results so far, but he is riding high off of his gold medal. Let's see what happens there. Rachel is back with Anna. The girlies are back together. Will they be able to have a good showdown with Catherine and Annalie this week? I think Catherine and Annalie are showing that they can be beat if you play a flawless match. Catherine's hands aren't that fast. You can beat her in hands battles. And Annalie's constant speeding up down the middle is effective a lot. But at this point, players should know it's coming. And Dave Fleming's always like, you know it's coming. There's just nothing you can do about it. Well, eventually they're going to figure out how to respond to it. Okay, like there was a time where you couldn't return Deckelbar or James Ignatowicz's serves. And the more you play against them, the more you figure out how to return them. And that's going to happen. So I'm still hoping that Anna and Rachel can get another win off of them. I do really want to see Anna Bright play with Georgia Johnson at some point. Georgia's back with Tyra this week. You know they want to have a better tournament because last weekend they lost to Krista Getcheva and Caitlin Christian. And their ride kind of just shows that it's all about partnership chemistry. Two players who don't have great tournaments with other people then suddenly make a semi. Always keep that in mind when you play pickleball. Your partner matters. This will be the first tournament where we see Anna Bright and Federico Stackstrew playing together. Fed did play with Catherine for a while. They had good results. I like these mix-ups. I hope that next year, though, we get Anna Bright with a permanent men's partner who can be the kind of rival that she was with James to Ben and Annalie, but with greater success. And finally, we're going to see Hurricane Tyra Black play with Max Freeman, the guy we're all talking about, the guy who was supposed to play with Fed. The guy we're all talking about, the guy who was quote unquote dropped Ben. Little clickbait there. It is one thing to play men's doubles with James and to try to make a name for yourself in that field. It's tough because it's not like you're playing men's doubles with Ben. You are now playing mixed doubles with Tyra. The pressure is on. You have been given the gift. You have been given a chance that a lot of people don't get. There is no reason why you shouldn't succeed. If you are as special, especially as a lefty man, Tyra loves the left side, you stay on the right. If you are all that you are cracked up to be, you're going to have a good run with Tyra. So we'll see. I want to see it. There's so much more we could be talking about for this coming weekend. I'm super excited for it. It's going to be a long weekend of sports viewing. We have NCAA finals. Final Four on Friday, go UConn. Finals on Sunday, go UConn. And we'll also be watching semifinal Saturday and championship Sunday. So if you're not playing pickleball with me this weekend, so for this weekend, I'm pretty booked and busy. If you are not calling or texting me to invite me to an amazing pickleball game, minimum 2 hours, lose my number. I can't be reached. I'm booked and busy. Thank you guys for tuning in to another one. Follow me on Instagram, Obsessed with Pickleball. Subscribe to this podcast, YouTube, Spotify. You can also find me now on TikTok, Obsessed with PB Pod. I hope you have a wonderful week of watching pickleball, talking about pickleball, and playing pickleball, and I'll see you at the next one.